the a-hole for being upset about brother-in-law drinking my pumped milk. What? Order in the courtroom. Order in the court. I'm gonna have so much fun with this. Look at me. And just look at me. What is it? A gray fox? I may not be able to compare to the sassiest judge of them all, Judge Judy, whom I love, but I sure can channel her energy in Judge Moody. Today, we are judging some messy drama with a lot of red flags. And in this courtroom, we do have some real red flags. They came in the mail, you guys! No more need to Photoshop some red flags. Okay, let's actually do this shit. Court is in session. Our first case, found texts on my husband's phone. I can feel it already. My husband of almost 32 years cheated on me 20 years ago. We rebuilt our marriage and learned to trust again. Fast forward to now. I checked his messages on a linked device that he doesn't know about and found texts to a woman that he worked with 3 years ago. Do I confront him now, or should I wait to see what else he does? I feel like he's probably been cheating on me all along. Should I text the woman and ask her what went on 3 years ago? Help, because I have no one to talk to except our grown children, and this will shatter what they think of their father. The first red flag was that he did in fact cheat on you all those years ago. The second red flag would be that he is suspiciously messaging another woman that he used to work with. Oh my God, I forgot a very important part. Apparently, I'm not very good at being a judge because I missed a very important part in this case. It says in those messages, he told her he was thinking about her and having sex dreams about her. I don't think we need to know what went on 3 years ago. I think we have enough evidence. Whether it happened 3 years ago or not, he wants it to happen again. I sentence him to 2 red flags. And you absolutely confront him. I order you to confront him and then report back to me because I want to know. Oh my God, if one of my neighbors knocked on my door right now. Hello. Next case, everybody settle down. My wife said she regretted our marriage and she wanted her ex. So my wife, 35 female, and I, 35 male, had a whirlwind marriage. To clarify, we are both 35 now. We were both 22 when we got married. I was stationed overseas and she was in the US when we met online. I had orders to return to the US in a few months, so I started looking at some dating sites for the location I was moving to. I met, let's call her Lily, online, and we started talking. We went as far as online date night, streaming shows together while we ate to the naughty video calls with each other. At some point, she breaks it off with me because she has this male best friend we will call Jack that she's known since elementary, and they want to see where they go. Male best friend wanting to see where it goes. However, she was honest with you and told you, so that may not be. I'll let it slide. I was heartbroken, but at this point, we'd only been talking for a little more than 2 months. Well, very soon afterward, like a day or less later, she messages me back saying they tried dating and they immediately didn't work, and she apologized for dropping me the way she did. I stand corrected. In hindsight, maybe I should have kept it ended right there, but given where we are now, I would have missed out on a lot. Part of the issue there was the time difference. By the time I'd woken up to read her breakup message, she sent the retraction only a few hours later. I hadn't really had time to process any feelings of loss before she was already back. So we get back together in our long-distance relationship. It may be hard to have sympathy with you after this. My orders are coming up and we're discussing how frequently we're going to visit each other and make arrangements because she lives 7 hours from my base. Eventually, one of us, we don't remember who, mentioned the idea that it would be much simpler if we were married. We started hypothetically looking into the finances and logistics of making that happen, and the next we know, we had already scheduled a wedding. Could it be too fast? It was impulsive and dumb, and totally do not recommend anyone else doing what we did, but there it was. I landed in the US on November 1st, and just under 2 weeks later, we were married. Our wedding day was our 3rd day seeing each other in person. Fast forward 3 months and I'm helping her fix some stuff on her computer. I find a video file that I think is the one we're looking for, but it turns out to be a sex video she and her ex, Kevin, made less than a year prior. We will study the timeline as the story continues. I was irritated that she still had, oh right, she still had it. She still has the sex video? I was irritated she still had it, but it was before she even knew me, so I tried not to let it bother me. The problem with Kevin became twofold. Number 1, she had been sending spicy pictures, videos, and messages to Kevin that she forgot to delete. And 2, she'd technically never actually broken up with Kevin. He was in the army and was on a year-long combat deployment. When he came back, he had some PTSD issues and had pretty much ghosted everyone in his life besides his close family. Because she couldn't get in touch with him for weeks after his return, she assumed they had broken up. About 2 weeks after that was when I first messaged her online. At some point after we got married, he got back in contact with her, and there was a lot of XOXOs and I miss yous shared. That's what I got pissed about. But at this point, we'd only been married about 4 months, and given the speed of our marriage, I knew that there would be issues. Dude lived in an entirely different state anyway, so I knew she hadn't seen him in person when we had been married. XOXOs and I miss yous from an ex-boyfriend who she was sexual with. Jump forward 2 more months. I had to go away for training for 3 months. It's only 2 hours away, but I was only coming home on the weekends. She lived with me for about 5 months in total by this point. The first month of our marriage was spent apart, which I secured housing for us, and she barely knew anyone or had any local friends, so she says she's gonna drive up to her parents' house for a week or 2 while I'm in training. I said no big deal and drive safe. About 6 weeks later, I'm in training and I get a call from her saying, oh, she had a miscarriage. Neither of us even knew that she had been pregnant. I had been home on the weekends and we'd slept together during those occasions, so I didn't think anything of it besides an unfortunate event. There is some foreshadowing here. Fast forward to 2020. We've been married for years. We were licensed foster parents and helped care for dozens of children together. We had 2 of our own children and adopted 1 more. One day, I got a Facebook message from an obviously fake account that sent me screenshots of posts my wife had made in a private group. These posts were back from 2012 and 2013. Basically, she implied that she missed her ex and she regretted getting married and a bunch of other stuff. So, after seeing this, I started going through her emails. I found old emails that she had sent to Kevin with their old photos and videos together, along with some nudes she'd sent him both before and a few months after we got married. I could see the paper trail, but not all of the content because a lot of it had been deleted. Then, in her Facebook messages, she had dozens of messages she'd sent to her friends talking crap about me, telling them about how she missed Kevin and how much she missed Jack and wished she'd stayed with him because they got along together and he was better in bed and all sorts of shite like that. Of particular note, she talked about how during those 3 months of training I went to, she drove up to her parents' house, but also visited Jack to tell him she had gotten married. Most of our friends did not know we'd gotten married. She said they cried in each other's arms all night, and she begged him to tell her to stay. Well, he told her she should go be a wife because she is married now. She somewhat implied they slept together, but didn't outright say it. Just that she stayed there either really late or overnight. This is important because a few weeks later is when she had the miscarriage. I also saw messages indicating that she had been talking to as many as 5 guys all at the same time. Jack, Kevin, me, and the 2 other guys whose real names don't matter. So while we're planning our wedding online, she's still talking to 4 other guys. Not just 1, but 4. Do I dare say that's 4 red flags? I'll just let it pass as 1. Keep in mind, I'm reading all these messages in 2020, but they were all written in 2012/2013. There were no more messages like this after 2013 and didn't appear to be any communications with her exes or anyone else. But given all the references she made to deleting things and the obvious gaps in conversations and emails, not finding anything did not mean that there hadn't been anything. I waited a few days, but eventually I confronted her about it. The first topic I addressed was Jack, and I told her up front that I don't know or I don't remember answers wouldn't be accepted, so she needed to pause and think before she spoke. I then asked her if she slept with him while I was at training. She almost immediately said she didn't remember. I called BS and we argued for a bit until I reminded her about the miscarriage and told her I couldn't even know if that miscarried pregnancy would have been my child or not. She then changed her answer to 100% no. She did not sleep with Jack. I didn't believe her. Neither do I. We argued about several other things in the messages, which I did send her screenshots of, but ultimately the damage was done. She apologized profusely about everything. She told me how immature she was back then and how she admits she was a bad wife. But she said that we started fostering and she saw how I was with children, and as a father, she realized she already had everything she wanted, and that's why she cut all communication with them in 2013, which does line up with the year that we started fostering children. She swore she never physically cheated, and outside of the messages I saw, she's never flirted or anything with anyone. And given I couldn't find any indication of it beyond 2013, I felt inclined to believe her about that. Soon after that, she deleted everything. Her old email address and all her social media accounts. She claimed she was doing it because none of that old stuff mattered to her anymore and she just wanted to move forward with me. How thoughtful. But I couldn't help but wonder if she deleted it because I had just seen the tip of the iceberg. In all other aspects of her life, my wife is not a sneaky or underhand person. In fact, she's more of a hippie prude. She doesn't like inappropriate jokes. She doesn't watch porn or anything remotely sexual. She has absolutely no kinks or vices or anything. She's oblivious to any kind of subtle flirting, even from me. From all outward appearances, she really does appear to have been going through a phase back then that she matured past, even before I knew all of the messages and stuff. She is practically the definition of a classic soccer mom. And over the years, her libido, which was already kind of low in my opinion, has reduced drastically. All in all, she is not a sexual or romantic person, so the idea of her seeking any outside romance is truly a foreign idea at this point. But the moment she said, "I don't remember," when I asked her if she slept with Jack, my trust was irreparably damaged. I debated for a long time about what to do about it. Yeah, it was old news by the time I found out, but it was new to me. I have a burp. Judge Moody allows burps in this courtroom. If you don't like it, you can go on get. Where am I? We had 2 young kids by then, and I believe we were still in the adoption process for the 3rd child at the time. A divorce would have ruined any chances of either of us adopting the child. So I decided to try and move past it, until she was taking our daughter back to her hometown, where Jack still lived, for a concert for our daughter's birthday. We couldn't really afford for me and both of our boys to go, and she would be going with her sister. So it's not like she would have time to go off and visit old friends. I damn near had a panic attack just thinking about her going up there and leaving our daughter with her family to see an old flame. So I talked to a therapist. Ultimately, she went. They had a good time. Nothing suspicious happened that I know of. And I was hoping that some trust had been recovered. The problem now is, it is 2025. Our 2 children are older and we have 2 fully adopted children, bringing our total to 4 kids, 2 dogs, 3 cats, and a mortgage. I've already tried more therapy and it hasn't helped. To this day, I still don't fully trust my wife. I'm still worried she still deletes things. I'm worried that any time she goes out with me and the kids, she's still meeting someone. I'm worried that the absence of any indication of wrongdoing on her part is simply because I'm not seeing it, not because it isn't there. You not being able to trust is a red flag for this relationship. I know that logically it's highly unlikely she's doing anything wrong, but I don't know how to get my emotions to get on board with that. It's literally been years, more than 10 years since her initial betrayals, and we will be coming up on 5 years since I found out and confronted her. She's moved well past this, but I haven't, and I don't know how. I have come to my verdict. Have you no trust in a relationship? It is not a healthy one. And I sentence your wife to 11 red flags. I don't offer much more advice than that. But every relationship is built on trust, and you need trust in a relationship. I could not imagine spending my marriage living without being able to trust that person and always wondering if they are in fact doing something wrong. That is a miserable way to live. I now order all of you to take a sip of water, because we do have hydration station in this courtroom, baby, and you better drink water. Cheers. I really gotta give it to Judge Moody with these pearl accessories. Like, this is the type of shit I would wear if I truly was a judge. Next case. Am I the a-hole for not being willing to pick up my wife at 2 a.m.? Was she in danger? Could this be a possible red flag? Just the tip for now. My wife has what are essentially house parties once a month with her friends where she gets plastered. She told me Saturday that they were doing it at night and asked if I would be okay picking her up. I've done this for her in the past but felt like I needed to set some boundaries because her pickup time can range anywhere from 11 p.m. to past 2 a.m. and it's absolutely miserable for me because I have to spend all night in waiting mode, trying not to fall asleep until she decides she wants to go home. I told her I'd be fine picking her up until midnight, but past that, she would need to either stay there and I can pick her up in the morning. This is a trusted friend and she already has permission to crash there. Or she can take an Uber home. She tears into me over this, the details of which I won't go into here. Suspicion. She ends up apologizing for her behavior and agrees to the midnight compromise, but insists that I'm still in the wrong for not being willing to pick her up that late at night. Her friends are telling her that I was being an a-hole over this, and my coworkers I've talked with about it have been pretty 50-50. While I sympathize with her about not wanting to take an Uber as a drunk woman at 2 a.m., I feel like I was more than reasonable with my compromise, especially considering this was at a friend's house that she could crash at if she thought she was too drunk to safely take an Uber. If there was an emergency, I would still go get her. Okay, we love a helpful husband. And honestly, if she called at 2 a.m. and I actually woke up, I would still go get her, even if it wasn't an emergency. Begrudgingly. Understandable. You're a tired man. It's 2 a.m. Some relevant background info is that I get up every morning at 4:30 a.m. because of my job, and likewise try to go to bed at 8:30 p.m. While I didn't have work the next morning, I'm a bit of a stickler for maintaining my sleep schedule and get pretty anxious when it's not too far off course. I was informed that this was happening the day of, so I had gotten up at the same time that morning. 2 a.m. is extremely late for me, and driving can be dangerous. I can't nap to prepare for this, both because I don't want to nuke my sleep schedule and because of the wide-ranging pickup times, coupled with the fact that I know that I probably won't hear my ringer if I nod off. I also try not to drink too often because of a history of alcoholism in my family, and I had drank basically every night the week before for networking during a work trip and gone with her the past few months to these events, so that is why I couldn't just go with her. This one is interesting. There is only one red flag in the story towards your wife, however, I sentence, you are not the asshole. I understand all of your reasonings because I wouldn't want to be the one picking up nobody either. I understand both parties. Ubering alone as a woman late at night, I can understand is scary. You have the option to crash there. It is also a decision to go out and get drunk till 2 a.m. That is your choice. Sleep there if you're too scared, or you have to agree to go home at midnight the latest and your husband will pick you up. I think we can work together. I think we can compromise. I think you can still go out and party and sleep there and everybody is happy. We have to understand each other. Next case, order in the courtroom. Am I the a-hole for leaving my roommate stranded after she kept using my stuff without asking? We hate when people do that. I, 22 female, live with my college roommate, 22 female too, and we've been friends since freshman year. We've lived together for 3 years, and this is our last year before graduation. We've always had some issues with boundaries, but I usually let things slide because we got along and I didn't want to be dramatic. But lately, she's been using my stuff without asking. asking, not considerate. Like my makeup, my food, my shampoo, which is not cheap, by the way, even my hoodie that my ex gave me and I'm weirdly sentimental about. I've asked her multiple times that please just ask before using my stuff. She always says, oh, sorry, I forgot, or it was just a little bit, then just laughs it off. Not taking accountability, are we? The last straw was last weekend. She took my car without asking. I had left my keys on the counter because I was rushing to get ready for a date, and apparently she thought it was cool to borrow my car to go to Target with her friend. I was pissed. When I called her, she just said, I'll be back in 20 minutes. I missed my dinner reservation and it was super embarrassing having to cancel. So yesterday, she asked if I could drive her to the airport early in the morning, like 6 a.m. I said yes originally because I'm too nice and I hate saying no. But after I woke up and saw that she'd once again eaten half of my snacks, like I legit had one granola bar left, I got super annoyed. So I just didn't take her. I turned my phone on silent and went back to sleep. She ended up Ubering and apparently almost missed her flight. She texted me later saying, wow, thanks for ditching me, real mature. And her friend DM'd me on Insta saying I'm a bad friend and should have at least warned her. I honestly don't feel bad. I feel like I've let her cross my boundaries so many times and she never takes me seriously. This was the only time I actually held her accountable, and now everyone is mad at me. Some of my friends think I should have just driven her and had a talk after. Others said she needed to learn and it was fair. I don't know. Was that too petty? I order your friend to 3 red flags. Do I think it was petty? Yes, I do. Judge Moody is moody, but that was petty. Could it have been handled differently? Yes. However, I understand your frustration with the situation, and you have every right to be frustrated. She did take an Uber. She did get there on time. I do think it all could have been handled very differently from both parties, but you have a right to be upset. Next order of business. Am I the a-hole for being upset about brother-in-law drinking my pumped milk? What? We will give this case a chance. Me, female 29, and my husband, male 30, visited my in-laws last weekend for father-in-law's birthday. They live in the next state, about 3 hours away. We have an 8-month-old son, so I am pumping. It was a small family gathering over the weekend with my husband's close family. We spend most of Sunday outdoors, and I pumped a few times during the day. We carried a small cooler pack to store the milk, but when we reached my in-laws' place by evening, I noticed the milk was smelling weird, and so I decided to throw it away. We were in the kitchen, the baby was hungry, so I kept the breast milk by the sink and started making formula instead while my husband was trying to calm the baby. I was busy feeding the baby when my husband's brother, Josh, 28, pulled out shot glasses and poured the breast milk, which I forgot to dump in the sink, and offered it to my husband. What's going on here? My husband laughed and poured his glass in the sink while Josh proceeded to drink it in front of my in-laws, and they all just laughed like it was the funniest thing ever.
Ugh. Brother, ugh.
I was feeding the baby, so I couldn't react. But once he settled, I lost my cool and I went off on Josh about how disgusting that was. My husband and in-laws tried to defuse the situation, saying it was just a joke and I was overreacting. Josh had always been respectful to me and kept his distance, but this left a really bad taste in my mouth, as it may have in his. And my mother-in-law even said that it's not like he took the milk from the baby. It was going to go to waste anyways. I was bitter for the rest of the trip, and now my husband is giving me the cold shoulder for ruining his dad's birthday weekend. Am I the a-hole for being disgusted by this? The one red flag in question is Josh's idea in doing so. But if we give him the benefit of the doubt that it was in fact a silly joke and it was going to waste, I will still say that it is a little strange and in fact a little bit disgusting, I'm sure. However, Judge Moody might not be qualified for this case, as she, despite the hair and the age that's showing, is not a mother. Mothers out there, would we be angry at this? Is this disgusting? Was it wrong, even if it was a joke or if it was funny? I sentence this case to inconclusive. It will be decided in the comment section. Order in the court. Court. How do we end court? How do people end court? Court is no longer in session. Court is no longer in session. Stay classy out there. Stay sassy. And stay moody. Judge Judy. I need a theme song for the show, I think. Judge Moody is groovy. That's not it.